Yo G's, welcome to another workshop. We got a big one today, highly requested. Before we get started, let me just get some ones in the chat, make sure you can all hear me. Today's going to be huge. So a lot of you, are struggling with System 3. For those of you that don't know, System 3 in the courses is basically the hack that 90% of veteran automators are using to basically get tens of thousands of dollars every month in. This is a tool that students are using to basically jump into this campus. They use it for a week, and they get clients and they get money in ASAP. So there is a little bit of upfront cost to get started with it. And a lot of you, the way that we use System 3, a lot of you are like, hey, restaurants, realtors, in-person businesses aren't really that much on Sales Navigator. So this is where I'm going to show you how to basically use Google Maps to get completely free leads. You can get decision makers' emails, you can get the phone numbers, all that stuff. I'm going to be showing you that today on today's workshop. And again, completely free. A lot of you guys, like I said, you're looking for these leads, different ways to get them in. And this is a way that you can get these people in. And even if you're not using the full automated System 3, you can get the contact of some very important people for free. And if you do a well-crafted email to them, like we show you in the daily email templates or in the courses, then there's no excuse for you to not get money in. There's no excuse for you to not get clients in. So, all right, I'm getting some ones in the chat. Everyone can hear me, which is awesome. So you can see here I'm in the scenario and I have a Google Sheet. So first thing first, Maps tab open here. What you want to do is you want to look up niche, and then your location, right? So that's what I did here. For this example, I'm doing a realtor and then New York. So like that, you hit enter, you're gonna get these results here. And then super easy, what you can do, you can just copy this URL. We can jump into our good old friend Phantom Buster. Here we are in Phantom Buster. We're going to browse Phantoms. We're going to go to Google Maps search export. We can use this. Jump in, paste our URL that we just copied. Spreadsheet settings, leave everything. We hit save. Type our language, which is going to be English. Then we can go ahead and, so we can only do 120 at a time, which you could basically, I'll tell you about after I get around this, I can do more at a time. But anyway, then we're going to name our results file, which you should all be familiar with. So Realtor New York 2. I'm not actually going to run this because I've already run this before. So you save this, then you can save, and then once you're done, of course, you can go ahead and launch this. Now, I've already done this, so I'm going to go back to the dashboard. Rather than wait for this to scrape on the call, it takes about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes max. I'm just going to click the one that I ran literally right before this call. So I'll jump into this one. However I do that, there we go. And then you can see I got the results. So I showed you how to get this for free in the free Phantom Buster leads. You would just right-click, inspect, download the CSV, paste that into your URL as a request. It automatically downloads the CSV for you. I have a paid account, so I can just go ahead and download it here. But again, completely free. Use the little hack around method that I show you in the courses. Okay, cool. Once you do that, we can go ahead and then upload this to Google Sheets. So you would just go to URL, type sheets.new. Boom, then you can go and import it. Now again, I've already done that with the CSV I have here. So this is the CSV that we're going to get from Phantom Buster. You get the URL of the place, you get the title, rating, review count, so a bunch of information we could use to our advantage, right? The more information we have as automators, the better. Address. Website's going to be the most important one. Phone number, status, you get the schedule, like all this information we could use to personalize or whatever it is, right? The most important thing is this website column. It's very important that we have these websites. That's what we're going to be using to find these decision maker emails. So another tool, let's just jump into the scenario. Here I have Google Sheets already loaded up. Like I said, this is what the whole thing looks like. So let me just click inside here. I loaded up the sheet, and basically I just set up a simple filter if website exists. So website meaning in column if this exists, meaning if it's not empty, then we're gonna go ahead and pull that from our module. Cool. And then I'm only pulling back 10 just for example purposes. And then next, what we can do is use our good old friend AnyMail Finder. Now, for those of you that know, AnyMail Finder is a free trial for 250 API calls. Now that means that you could use this completely for free. You can run this. This only does 120 max. You can get those 250 API calls for free. There's a workshop on System 2 how you can game that a little bit with AnyMail Finder and get unlimited free trials of that. So again, so far this is a completely free way to get leads, and you're gonna be getting some decision makers' emails and contact information. So next, let's jump into AnyMail Finder. So here it is. We're going to need to search for a decision maker's email. They have basically a module already set up for this. We can search by domain, and all we're gonna enter in is the website from here. Let me just make sure this is actually the right one. Realtor New York. Okay, let me just run this first, just so I'm pulling the correct variables into this module. All right, reconnect this. It's gonna be website. All right, it's just not updating for some reason. I'll probably have to save it. Let me just make sure. Category, we're gonna choose CEO, owner, president, founder. Let me just make sure it's actually column H. Yeah, so I think it's just a refresh issue, make.com. We'll hit save. And now if I run this, this is gonna search for decision makers' emails. So let's go ahead and run it. And let's see, it's not gonna have 100% hit rate, of course, but it will have some successful ones. Okay, cool. It found this one perfectly, which is what we want. All right, nice. So now that we're getting these decision maker emails, we can see that it worked correctly. We're pulling them from using this domain on this website. What you can do is actually set, okay, do you want to use only fully verified emails, 97% plus delivery rate, or use all found emails? So these are emails that may or may not end up being existing and landing in spam. Now we did all the workshops on System 3. You guys know how if you want to do this, you can set up some parameters so that you basically optimize the most amount of real emails that you want. So cool. You have this. Now what we need to do is set up a tools module because we want to split this variable to the first name and last name. So let's go into tools. Let's go into set variable. In this variable name, we're just going to call it, I don't know, let's call it first name because that's what we're getting. And then let's go ahead and get our split function. So we're going to go into here. Where is it? Split. 1 second, Jesus, I'm just looking for the splits here. Split, cool, and then we're gonna enter in the results.firstname. So if I just click in between right here and head back here, and we want the person full name, results, person full name right here. And then we're gonna split this by the existence of the space with this make.com friendly variable. So now if we run that, again, all of you should know how to use AnyMail Finder. I show you basically how you can get the API key and all that stuff. That's all you need to create a connection and use these modules. All right, cool. You would split the first name, except for this one, empty. Okay, it's because I canceled it too soon, but yeah, this would split by the first name. No biggie. I'm just going a bit faster this so we can get basically everything done. Next, okay, what do we want to do after this? We have the first name. What are we going to be using these for? Okay, maybe we're going to use these for some personalized emails. So let's jump into some personalization. Let's load up a perplexity module. Load up a perplexity, and we're going to need to create a completion. Now from here, we can go ahead and select the model. I'm going to be using the Llama Sonar Large, which you guys know can search the internet and pull information back. And then what we want after that is we're going to pull the person's full name, the job title. So this could be like, Eli, CEO, and then company name. Or actually, it's going to be the title from this spreadsheet. Manhattan Realty Group. Cool. Temperature, we'll just leave this. It's not too important. And of course, we need to add our message. So actually, I added that in the wrong thing. Duh. All right, cool. Paste that here. Delete this. Max tokens. Doesn't really matter what these are. I'm just going to leave it empty, or we can put 100. We'll put 1024. That's probably a good enough number to give us enough. And for the role, it's going to be a user message. Cool. All set. Save this. Now this will go ahead and do some research on the prospect, which is what we want. After that, we're going to add some sauce. Now, we haven't introduced this in any of the courses yet, or the workshops, and a lot of you mention it, and it's Appify, API-FY. And what we're going to do is just use this in our pipeline to basically scrape the profiles from LinkedIn. And we can do this without cookies. We don't need to use Phantom Buster for this. This is very friendly with our automation. So if you go and you set up an Appify account, again, they give you $10 of free credits, or maybe $5, which is more than enough to let you run this automation. You can go and you can look for an actor name. So you're going to look for this one right here, but you just go LinkedIn profile scraper. And then, well, actually, you want to go to the store first and then look for this. LinkedIn profile scraper, and it's going to be this one. So you click this, and then you would create a task, and then back into your actors. Once you have it, click this. You could go to JSON here, and then you could just copy this JSON, which is what we want to do. So we're going to copy this. We're then going to go ahead and get an Appify module. So they actually have these. You can see here. Appify, it's going to be run an actor. Then from here, you can see I created my Appify connection. If you want to do that, all you have to do is go to settings, and then API integrations, and you get your personal API token here. You just copy it. You jump into Appify, add a new connection, paste your personal access token, and it's all linked up. So then we're going to select an actor, which we created a task, so that means we have access to this actor. Then we'll paste our JSON, and we actually want to delete this URL because we're going to manually enter it from our LinkedIn URL that's found here, personal LinkedIn URL. Cool. Now that's all set up. What do we need to do next? What we're going to do next is actually wait for this to run, because what we want to do is, first of all, let's just make it so all right, so this is all good. Just making sure I have everything checked. Run synchronously, we'll leave that at no. We don't need to fill any of this stuff out. All right, cool. Save this. Now, once this is done, we need to actually wait for this actor to run, so then we can retrieve the result. It's not going to run. It's just going to trigger, and we need to ping Appify again to pull the results back. So what we're going to do is just add a sleep module. I'm going to go to sleep, and I'm just going to let this sleep for 40 seconds. And then from here, we can run another Appify module, and this one's going to be the get dataset items. So if I just go into Appify, we're going to go into get dataset items, and then from here, we can put the dataset ID, which we get from the previous Appify module, which is going to be default dataset ID. Cool, we'll leave that. Leave all this as is, save it, and then we can go ahead and add a personalization. So this is where we could usually add a personalization module. I'm just going to copy and paste this from a different tab, because you all know how to set up personalizations from whatever it's called, System 3. Now let me just change the variable. You can see I'm using the new GPT 4.5, which is a bit better with copywriting, so you can use this. It's a bit slower, it's a bit more expensive, you don't need it. But yeah, that's just what I'm using here. Create a system prompt for this, and then we can basically just add the message content from this previous Appify module. So it's going to be choices. Well, actually, we need to run this first. So let's go ahead and run this. And this is going to go through. It's going to take a second, so I was hearing some pings. Let me just go in the chat and see if you guys have any questions. Someone said, what's the name of the platform where you can find these results? The untitled one is Phantom Buster. I'm pretty sure that's what you're talking about. Someone said, is this good for e-commerce niche? So geez, we're using Google Maps. Think of this as any business that exists on Google Maps. That's where you're going to find these leads. And it's very good to pair against Sales Navigator, because Sales Navigator doesn't have a lot of restaurants, for example. So that's where you can utilize this to be able to pull those leads from. We're just waiting for this to run. Let's go ahead. So we can see we got some research from Perplexity, choices, message, content. So it gives us some information about the CEO. Nice. Then it's going to be sleeping. Then this Appify basically is running our LinkedIn URL, which is all good. Then this Appify finishes. We can go into the About section, wherever that is. Oh yeah, so this was giving me some weird issues at some points. At some points it was giving me like an About section, and then at some points it wasn't. So we'll have to iron that out. But yeah, this will give us some information that we can use to personalize. Maybe the next one we run will have a bit of better luck. But anyway, once we have one of these, we can go ahead and then pipe this information into our icebreaker module. And that's going to, honestly, I don't even need to run this, because you guys can see how this is working. Like, I'll re-explain it front to back, but essentially how this is working is it's now going to create the personalized icebreaker. You guys all understand that from System 3. We can then go ahead and add instantly module, or we can make an API call, or add leads, basically. Update lead status, add lead to a campaign. That's what we want to do. We can add it to a campaign. Then we have all of these leads that we found from Google Maps. We have decision makers verified emails. We even have their phone numbers and all that good stuff within here. And that's all information we can use. Now you can hook this up with AI phone callers. Like, we're doing a big VAPI course drop next week on AI outbound systems. That's another great way you can use these numbers. So yeah, really the world's your oyster. This is how you can get free guaranteed leads. Like, there's no reason that you couldn't do this completely free and get leads every day for free. With a little bit of manual setup, you can get this going for you, and you have no excuses not to go and outreach prospects and start getting money in. So let me just start taking questions on this. That's pretty much the full scenario built out. Of course, you can make this a bit more advanced, but that gives you guys a very good idea of how you can use this whole mechanism to get set up. Let me just scroll to the bottom of the chat. Do I need to create such a Google Sheet? So basically, you just rewatch this workshop. I'll show you how to get that Google Sheet in the beginning. You just use Google Maps and then plug it in Phantom Buster. All right, let me just see. If any email finding module doesn't find any emails, would you scrape the website and add whatever emails are found? So you could do that. And actually, now that you mention it, we want to set up a filter. And I actually skipped over that step. So you want to make sure that we set up a filter here, so we're not wasting operations. And you would go email found, for example, and you would set if result email verified is true. So if this is true, then we're going to continue through the automation, and then that way any emails that we don't find, we won't put through this whole pipeline. What if the lead from Google Maps doesn't have one? Yeah, that's fine. If you can't find any information personalized, then don't personalize. You can still outreach with a templated email, but you know, of course, personalized email is always going to be more effective, much higher chance of actually getting a response there. Let me see. Is having it sleep for 40 seconds so that all of the arrays get filled in as it loads? So basically, like, you're making a request to Appify, and it's not linked in a way that it's just going to wait until it's done for the module to finish. It's going to make a request, and once it's done making that request, it's going to move on to the next module. But in the backend, it's running on Appify, so we have to let it finish on Appify before we can actually pull that information back in the module where we actually get data set items. So that's what you find here. Not every module that you have in make.com will just run completely until it's finished. Like sometimes it'll just quickly run to make a post request to the API server, and then it'll run on the API server, and we need to wait for that to finish on the API server until we can go ahead and get back. But there's a couple ways you can do this. You could like set a smaller interval here, and then just do a repeat module. So basically you repeat until a condition is met, and that way you like minimize the amount of time. But either way works. All right, gonna take probably 4 more questions. What's the purpose of Perplexity for using Appify? It's just more information that you're feeding to AI personalized. Like sometimes you'll maybe find information through an online search and you won't really find so much information on LinkedIn. Maybe their LinkedIn isn't super great, right? So that's the purpose of this. And then what I would actually do is set up an AI. I would actually just put in prompting in here, like, hey, if there's not sufficient enough information, then just come up with like a generic one-liner, basically. If there's not sufficient enough information, then use XYZ info that I have in the spreadsheet to come up with a generic one-liner. And that can give enough pseudo personalization as well. Any alternative to LinkedIn Sales Nav? Like Apollo is probably the second best, but still LinkedIn Sales Nav is the best. So the first email module, which option is more valuable? To grab any email they find, or to only grab the verified ones? Highly recommend you go back and watch the How to Stop Your Emails from Bouncing workshop. That gives you all the information that you need. You can pull verified emails that aren't fully verified, and a lot of them actually end up being emails that you can get deals from, but then you have a higher chance of landing in spam or bouncing, which can hurt your email deliverability. So go ahead and watch that workshop. I break all that down. I've been using Perplexity to use the company name and address and search Yelp. Nice. Yeah. So that's the thing. Like a lot of you guys say, hey, I've been using these tools and I've been getting these results. What do you think? Cool. If it gets you results, then use it. There's no rules. You guys don't only have to. And I'm going to make a lesson on this. I'm going to make a voice lesson on the fact that there's no rules. You guys don't have to only do what we show you. We show you how to build automations, how to think about troubleshooting, how to plan the structure of a project, how to deliver on it, all that stuff. It's up to you and your creative solving to make it work for your use case, right? There's 100 million different automations that I could teach you, but there's not enough time for that. So we have to show you how to think about creating these automations and the most high lever ones that you can pull to be able to use and start getting money in. But if you have to use a little bit of your creative thinking to make it work for XYZ application, then that's what you should be doing. I'll take 2 more questions. So for the first any mail module, which option is more viable? Okay, I already answered that. Someone said, could this find Instagram or Facebook? So Phantom Buster does have Instagram and Facebook modules, or Instagram and Facebook scrapers. So yeah, you could just use these phantoms from Phantom Buster. Like if I just go into Phantom Buster right now, I'll go into dashboard, browse phantoms, I'll go Instagram. Like you have them all here. Maybe they don't have Instagram anymore. I think yeah, they do. Okay, so they have IG here. Followers, autofollow, follower collector. Like that's another way to get leads too, right? Is you can get super niche down when you're using social media. Like you can find a specific type of micro influencer, maybe they're like very niche fitness or yoga or something, and then you can find everyone that's following that type of profile, and then boom, you already know you have a high list of targeted people that are following that niche, and then you can combine that with what we teach in AI automation outreach with outreaching with like Instagram and X to then start getting leads that are very highly targeted. Same thing you can do this with like Facebook communities or like Reddit communities. Those are all people that are in those communities that are there for a specific thing. And the best thing about using communities as well is if you're in one of those communities, oftentimes they'll talk about the problems they're having. So you don't even have to think about what type of problems this business is having. You can jump into the communities, they'll tell you what problems they're having, and a lot of times you can just use that to pitch XYZ service. So yeah, Instagram in here, Facebook in here, and let me take one more question. I'm gonna look and find a good one. Can we get phone of decision makers and not just email? So it's a bit tougher, but I'll show you that as well. We're working on a process in the background to be able to set something like that up, but it's not, doesn't have a high success rate. Phone numbers are pretty private. They're not really, it's hard to get hold of them, but yeah, we'll show you guys something in the courses. All right, one more question. Is there something like Phantom Buster which scrapes sales nav URLs without being so hands-on for my clients? So you can automate everything from front to back within make.com. So your clients never have, you can make it so your clients never have to do anything because there's Phantom Buster modules, right? And a lot of you don't know this, and this actually reminds me because I told you guys that in Phantom Buster we can only scrape 120 at a time unless you just put a spreadsheet full of those URLs, and then Phantom Buster will go through those URLs one by one. So you can just make it that you get like, how you guys put a URL in the Phantom? You can just make it so you get like 100 of those URLs, and then that's what you do to trigger this Phantom, and then it's gonna run and just get those endless leads on autopilot. So you just have this Phantom Buster module, making it so you can automate the whole thing without have to actually jumping into Phantom Buster. But yeah, I can see a lot of you guys are starting to see the value behind this in the chats. If you guys have any more questions, tag me or the captains in the chats. We're all super proficient on this. As always, G's, God bless, peace, be automated. A lot of stuff coming this week and next week in the courses, so stay tuned for that, and I'll catch you next time. Yo G's, welcome to another workshop call. Today we have VoiceFlow's new agents feature. Now this is a big one. We're going to be doing a big update to the demo build section of the courses. Before we get into it, let me go ahead and check the AI automation chat, make sure everyone can hear me. Now, last week, geez, there was no workshop calls. We've been putting in crazy work behind the scenes, tons of business stuff that we're going to be bringing to all of you in the courses. If you guys know there's not calls happening in the campus, you know out in the trenches learning things to bring to you guys so you guys can make money as fast as possible. We're getting tons of ones. You guys can hear me, which is great. Now, before we get into this workshop, I want to do a little bit of a rant about the workshops, okay? A lot of you new guys, or maybe not even new guys, come into the workshops and you're saying, oh, Cam doesn't hold my hand through this, he doesn't point me XYZ, he doesn't explain enough about the workshops. Geez, you're completely missing the point about the workshops, okay? The workshops is the section of the courses where you put your big boy pants on, right? The lessons is where we say point here, click here, we hold your hand. The workshops is the trenches. This is where we put all the new information out to your fingertips so you can learn, you can use your brain and think, how am I going to use this to make money? There's new stuff happening every day in AI. And the workshops are where we can take the stuff that's actually important, put it in front of you guys, and you guys can take that information, implement it into your business, into your strategies, into your money making skills, and use that to, of course, generate revenue for yourself. Now, even if we could do every single workshop, a 3-hour long, point here, click here, do this, I wouldn't, because geez, I was telling this to the captains earlier, I'm not a father yet, but the principle still apply. When you have a kid, if you were to solve every single problem for your kid, they would be left with the biggest problem ever, and that's they don't know how to solve their own problems. You're never going to be able to make money if you can't use your own brain to solve problems. So that's what the workshop section of the course is. It's not rainbows and skies, it's butterflies, it's lions and snakes and trenches, okay? The workshop section of the courses is treacherous. You jump in there, that's where you become, that's where you turn from just a regular dude that can use AI to a veteran automator that can go into any section and tell them how to make money. All right, cool, G. So today we're jumping into the new agent step. Now, VoiceFlow now changes their user interface and features more than I change codes. So that's why you guys know we just did a big update in the VoiceFlow section of the courses. We're going to be adding a whole section under the new demo builds that just consistently updates with all the new stuff they're adding. That way you guys can go there and learn the most up-to-date stuff. And the thing is, with the previous lessons, we're going to keep those because those, even though there might be new features that they introduce that can technically be faster or whatever it is, those intro lessons are perfect and designed to get you understanding the basics of how to use AI, how to use nodes, whole structures and strings and blocks and if conditions. Those are super important, right? You guys need to learn the fundamentals first before you go and build more advanced stuff that you can take your designer hand off the gas a little bit. So without further ado, let's jump into this new agent step, which you can see is right here. If you go and drag this on the canvas, this new agent step is super powerful. What this is think of it as your prompt response AI step mixed with a knowledge-based step, mixed with intents, mixed with functions. Everything inside is inside this agent step. Now this, basically think of this like AI, but with an actual brain that thinks and does different things. So let me just show you what I mean. We can go in and we can select an existing agent. So similar to how we have the prompt step in the talk, and you can select an existing prompt. You guys should all know that from the new VoiceFlow lessons. You can select an existing agent. So VoiceFlow has these kind of basic ones. I'm going to show you this one out now actually. And you can search the community similar to how you would with functions, with their new function marketplace. You can do that with their new agent marketplace. So search the community. I want to go and show you this hotel front desk one because it's a very good example of what these things can do. So I'm going to select this, and now we're going to go into the little pencil button so we can see what this actually does. All right, so you have objective. You're joining a guest services assistant at Summit Grand Hotel. You're assisting guests with requests for extra amenities, room service, or housekeeping, Instructions, speak directly, So what can this do? This is a hotel front desk agent. It's there for support. It can do these different functions, or take these different paths. And I want you to think of these paths as upgraded intent. So everyone knows what an intent is from the demo build section of the courses. That's something where AI will kind of listen to what's happening in the conversation and trigger if something specific happens. For example, can I book an appointment? It would trigger and go to a specific block. This agent step has these paths integrated, which again, think of this whole agent step as like something that's thinking. It's thinking constantly what's happening. Do I go to one of these paths? Do I call a function? Do I do all that good stuff? That's what these paths are. So you can see here, example dialogue. It's giving us some examples. Hello, hi, this is Jordan from guest services at Summit Grand Hotel. Can I have your name and room number, please? Hi, thanks. So it's telling it generally how it should speak. If housekeeping request, extra towel, toiletries, room cleaning, this means if this is the path that it's taking, you can see over here, housekeeping request is going to take this line of conversation. Similar for room service order, similar for if maintenance request. All right, now let's open up these paths. Let's see what these do. If I go ahead and click this housekeeping request path, you can see that we have the name and the description for the LLM. So when a guest requests extra towels, toiletries, or room cleaning. So this is where we can give a description of when this path should be taken. And similar to how we have like a VAPI voice agent where we have to collect certain info before we can go and call that function. Think of this a little bit like that. So we have required variables, customer name, room number, customer issue. And what's amazing about this is this agent step simplifies something that would take you maybe 5 to 10 blocks manually building out into one simplified step. Yes, you don't have as much control, but it's super simple. Like this, the whole appointment booking scenario that we have in the demo builds could be done in pretty much like once in a couple blocks versus all the blocks that we have in the courses, which again, we're going to be putting updated after the demo build section. So you have the customer name, you can add a variable, you can change it, you can give a description of what this variable is, similar to the VAPI functions. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go and watch those lessons. Room number, customer issue. And again, like with the new VoiceFlow updates, you have to use the KB search step to inject knowledge into any prompting, which we show you again in the new lessons. But with this agent step, you have access to a knowledge base. So this makes it so you can access any information that you have in the knowledge base, and even if it doesn't have that answer in the knowledge base, it'll go ahead and answer with the LLM. So think of this a little bit like an agentive hybrid mixed with intents, mixed with function calling. Here, you can add functions to this agent step. You can go ahead and search the community, pick any functions here. You can see right by default it has get current date. So what is this? Okay, let's click it. Let's look at the description. This function gets the current date. Use this when you have to determine a date stamps. For example, if the user says next Tuesday or the coming Wednesday, right? So this just gets the time zone wherever the person is and says what the date. So you can see there's an input variable, which is the time zone, which is going to collect. All right, now let's go ahead and test this thing out. So you can see we have the 3 paths here under the agent step. Let's go and run this. And it's going to ask us our name and room number. I'm going to say Cam, room number 201. Let's just test this function to see how powerful this is. How can I see today? What's the current date? Oops. Well, actually, I tested right before this and usually does provide the current date. But anyway, let me just skip over that. If you give the time zone, it will give the current date. A little bit of an issue with that function call. Anyway, let's say I want housekeeping. I'm going to test that again because it wasn't working before. Sure, what specific housekeeping request do you have? For example, do you need extra towels, toiletry, or room cleaning? All of the above, right? So you can see it's all happening within this one step. It's talking. Now, it would have gone through this housekeeping request. If you open up these, you can see that customer issue. It automatically captures all that information into a variable, requesting extra towels and toiletries along with room cleaning. Perfect. Customer name. Yeah, it gives all the information that basically we have inside this agent step. So, customer name, room number, customer issue, it captures all that automatically. Again, think of this as how we have functions or tools within VAPI, where you give it a description, it captures all that information intelligently into variables, and then uses that before we go ahead and move on. So if we want to test this again, and just to show you how the path works, let's just say housekeeping. This should, if they've designed this correctly, this should then output housekeeping once we've actually done this. So let's go ahead and run it again. Can I get housekeeping? So this is going to show you how dynamic it is. Of course, could you please, so rather than like you have to program all this stuff in VoiceFlow, a fallback, hey, didn't give me the right answer, let me go back to this LLM step, ask for the right answer. It's doing all that intelligently within this agent step. So off the gate, this is very powerful than normally what you have to take, 5 to 10 blocks to program out. Could you please provide the name and room number? Sure, Cam, and room number is 201. Thank you, Cam. What specific housekeeping requests do you have? Need all of the above. Let me see if I can get the date out of it now. By the way, what's the current date? Yeah. Hopefully it's able to give me this. So you can see it followed the path and took us to the housekeeping, right? And of course, like it finished after we gave it this request. It finished, so it's not going to go ahead and tell us the date because then it would have to loop back to this block and then go here, which is not going to do. But you can see it took this housekeeping request path correctly. So if you wanted to, we could pipe another agent step here, right? We could pipe another prompt step and then feed the last response from the agent, give this prompt context of what's going on. We could then inject the last utterance. So if we had any extra questions, it could have access from the knowledge that was in this actual hotel front desk agent. It could do all that stuff, which is super powerful. And so I'm sure you guys are starting to see the power of this agent step. So there's tons of other ones. There's the basic conversational agent. You could add a new agent and you could search all the other ones the community has, e-commerce, payment reminder, all this good stuff. So really what you want to do is think of this as like a system prompt, right? Think of these paths as intents. Access to knowledge base, this just is like the KB search step. Functions, again, this allows you to automatically trigger functions directly from this agent step. So it'll collect the correct info and then trigger these functions. Now let me just show you in a little bit more of a application. What if we wanted to transfer this over to like our customer support demo from the demo builds? Here's a little quick thing we whipped up. So, hi, thank you for visiting CobraT.com. What can I help you with? TRW agent. So let's go ahead and see. Here's a system prompt. Hey, sales focus support assistant. I guess this is not as much of a customer support, but yep, tone and style, interaction rules, all that good stuff. If you guys want to read this full thing in depth, you can go ahead and read it. This is just a simple system prompt telling you what to do. Then we have some paths. Join TRW. Trigger this path when the time feels right for the user to sign up to a TRW subscription. This path directs the user to a checkout page for TRW. Showcase studies. Trigger this path when the user feels unsure about TRW work and wants to see results. That'll give you testimonials. Campuses. Trigger this path when the user is interested about making money. Methods are in TRW. Okay, let's go ahead and test this out. I'm gonna start from here. What can I help you with? What do you do? Teach people how to make money online through quickly proven digital business strategies across various campuses. By joining, you can access to step-by-step guidance, mentorship, and tools to earn immediately for just $49.99 a month. Nice. What campuses are there? Now you can see automatically click this path. We offer 10 plus wealth creation campuses. Each campus is focused on different aspects of personal. So all that logic we normally have to implement through, we would have either an intent or we have some type of routing logic. Hey, if they're asking about campuses, output campus. We do an if else condition block, route to this carousel, all that stuff that we normally have to set up. We don't have to do that anymore. It's all contained within this AI agent. And then after it takes this path for campuses, it brings us to wherever we want. So for instance, down here, we have all the campuses. Of course, this is just a quick demo, but cool. If you wanted to, you can learn more about them. I can go to any of them. I can click learn more, content creation. There you go. Masterclass video. All right. So that's how powerful this agent step is. And again, this is just a quick demo of all this stuff. Rather than testing each one, I'll just show you. So for the case studies, you have this one, and there's a carousel based on a bunch of cards. With the testimonials for different campuses. Are you ready to join? Yes, no. Super simple demo. We're going to be doing a more advanced one in the advanced section after the demo builds that are currently in there. So again, we'll do an advanced example where we integrate customer support, appointment setting, and lead capture all in one agent using this agent's feature, and that'll be more advanced, more comprehensive. Because again, we still want those demo builds lessons right up front of the courses because that teaches you the basics, the fundamentals. You need those before you can move on and become an automator. So yeah, just start getting your questions in the chat. Any questions you have about this new agent feature, any questions about what it can do for you, etc. And I'm going to start answering those. Now let me just jump in. It was bugging me that it didn't give me the date earlier because I did get that when testing before. So I'm just going to ask it again. Hopefully it gives it to me. I'm just waiting to hear some pings G's in the chat. Yes, okay, now it gives us the date correctly. That shows you that it's calling this function that it has in here. Current date is Tuesday, March 25th, 2025. And I'm actually starting this workshop call. For every workshop call, I'm going to be telling you, hey, this is today's date. Because when you guys go back and visit the workshops, like you guys will say, oh, bro, workshop number 1, agentive, it's so out of date, there's so many better tools, Again, you're missing the point of the workshops. You go through these workshops, not only do you get the most up-to-date stuff, but you also get the thinking and processes that you should have when using AI automation. Workshop number 1, super important for explaining system prompts. System prompts directly impact the quality of your AI, right? It's a direct correlation. That workshop teaches you about system prompts, how you should structure them, how you should format them, and what it actually means for your AI agent. So that's why the workshops are there. And I'm going to start saying the date on each of the workshops. So you guys can visit this and in hindsight understand where this places up in terms of when different AI models were released, when different things happened, X, Y, Z. All right, let me go look at some questions in the chat. Can we route one agent to other agents? Absolutely. No, you can definitely route one agent to other agents. It's a great idea. This is how you can start setting up agentic frameworks, agents that direct other agents. So if you want these paths to be set up so it's, you have a main agent, it's kind of like a manager agent, and it goes to, let's say like you had one agent that was then responsible for customer support, another agent that was then responsible for booking calls, another agent that was then responsible for getting you in contact with a human, right? That's just a simple example, but you can totally do that and have each agent specialized in specific things so they can give you better results. If you had 20 questions that the agent had to answer, would you put them in the agent or KB for best results? I'll put them in the knowledge base. I'll put them as a QA examples in the knowledge base, 100%. Now with this update, we can basically make a whole working agent with this new update using only the new feature. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to do a little bit of stuff with the paths and how you want to manipulate the paths and what type of content is produced after a certain path is taken. But yeah, it basically majorly cuts down the time and manual building you would normally have to do. After VoiceFlow released their updates, how long did it take you to realize that agents was actually a separate feature? Not sure what you mean by that. So it's best to use the agent at the start of your workflows to branch out into specific paths, like as an introduction instead of a welcome message with buttons. It doesn't matter. This is really up to your own use case. Like there's no rules. 100%. There's never any rules when you guys are building something. If something works and in your brain it makes sense, use it, try it, test it. But yeah, you can use an agent right off the bat to set a greeting and all that stuff, or you can do something similar to what we have here in the customer support memo, where it says thank you, asks you a question, and then it goes to this agent. Either one is fine. But yeah, if you have an agent at the start, it's able to then direct different things. So like if you wanted to, you could have this hotel request thing. Just go back. This could be like, okay, let me lead this to another agent. Let me lead this to another agent. Let me lead this to another agent, right? And I guess like a better example would be like if you had an e-commerce thing. You could have this agent be, check out your cart. This one could be like personalized recommendations. This one could be customer support ticket. Like that's a pretty good use case for each one. Each agent is specialized in its own thing. What exactly does this new agent replace? So it doesn't replace anything. More specifically, it combines things. So it combines functions, intents, like more better optimized intents, variable pathing, combines all of that into one step, which is super useful. And again, when you have a system, like so when agents understand context about each other, they're always going to operate better. So when you have an AI agent, you have agent number 1 and agent number 2. Agent number 1 should know about agent number 2 and what agent number 2's role and function is because the input that's going to put to agent number 2 is important. It's going to help shape the context that the information actually puts in agent number 2. Likewise, agent number 2 should know about agent number 1, what its role is and what it's actually going to be producing and what it receives as input, what it's going to be using as output. When the agents know each other, they understand the context of the entire mission better, they're going to be outputting, they're going to give you better outputs optimized towards your end goal. So that's super important. You always want to give your own AI agent context about what it's doing and what the rest of the other agents are doing and it has direct correlation with. Hey Cam, since it's so easy to make agents now with updates like these, do you think it becomes harder to sell? No, because again, fundamental misunderstanding of business. People that are successful in business, their time is money. They're not going to go take the time to learn these AI agents, learn prompting. That's your expertise. They can never make an AI agent as good as you because they're focusing on their business and their skill, right? You're an AI specialist. No one else is going to be able to use AI better than you. And that's why you pay. That's why people pay you for their service, right? If people, there wouldn't be such thing as a B2B if everyone would just go and learn the thing themselves. They pay people that are more expert than them. And I use it to generate carousels. So you're not going to use this specifically to generate carousels. If you had a custom function that generated carousels, then yes, you could totally do that. Can you give a sneak peek into what you guys were cooking last week? Stay tuned for the courses. Can we prompt the agent with GPT? Yes. So, geez, whenever you're creating a system prompt, I always highly recommend that you use something like GPT to help you create the prompt, and then you just make tweaks to optimize it. Using AI to speak with AI is always going to make things super clear for the other AI to understand. But you still, again, you can't tell it to create a prompt and you don't give enough input and context and instruction of how it should actually respond, right? So again, whenever you're creating any type of prompt, your output will only be as good as your input. So if you're using ChatGPT to create a system prompt for you, then you need to give it very good input if you want it to create a very good system prompt for you. I'm running into a problem where the agent won't bring an answer from knowledge base at all. How can I fix that? I prompted it to always go for knowledge base responses, but still isn't working. So it might just be a hiccup in voiceflow, like it's a pretty new feature, but it should be pulling info from your agent. If it's not, like a quick patch could be you just use the KB search step how you normally would, and then just inject that as chunks into the actual agent, but it should be able to use the knowledge base. I guess what I would need to know more about how your knowledge base is structured, but most likely it's just a bug that voiceflow is having and it will fix very soon. All right, let me take a couple more questions. How many agents do you think are enough for lead capture? Just one. You can just take an agent that goes ahead and answers any questions, and captures information when it's at that point in the pipeline, and then forwards it to a CRM. You can even make a custom function that does the whole CRM integration for you. And again, we're going to be doing a super kind of advanced combining all three appointment setting, lead capture, customer support, all in one after the demo courses, and it uses this new agent set. What is the best prompt style to use for maximum effectiveness? Specifically in terms of length, structure, and the type of information included. Different for every single use case. You want to always make your system, well, in voice callers, you want to make your system as strict but effective as possible because it consumes more tokens and adds latency. For chat-based, you can make it as long as you want. I mean, it does get to a point where if it's too long, it gets watered down. So I want you to think of the length as kind of how hard the agent will listen to any specific instruction. So the longer that the length of the system prompt is, the less it listens to any individual specific instruction within the prompt, right? The less weight that it has. If you have like a bucket, if you have a bucket of water and you put like 5 apples in it, you're gonna be able to know those 5 apples pretty accurately. I guess I can come up with a better example, but if you had another bucket and you put like 30 apples, it's gonna be hard to tell which apple is different from each apple, if that makes sense. Yeah, I can come up with a better analogy, but you get my gist. The more information you have in the system prompt, the less it's actually gonna listen to each specific thing. All right, I'm gonna take one more question. Let me try to find a good one. The function step in the AI agent looks as if we can do API calls directly to make.com/airtable. Would you recommend using this? I mean, yes, right? So go and watch. We did another workshop on the new voiceflow marketplace. Go watch that. That's basically just the functions integrated within this agent step. It makes it a bit simpler, but if you want more control over these functions, you don't want to develop your own custom functions with code, then I would just recommend the webhook to make.com. Make.com is your automation friend. Voiceflow is your AI agent friend. Think of it that way. So that was another workshop. Go ahead and re-listen to this workshop and the little rant I did at the front end of what these workshops are actually about. Right? These are here to take you from someone that just uses AI and make you someone that can go in any business and make someone money. A veteran automator, someone that's advanced with automation. So these are times when you jump in and you actually use your brain with the information we're presenting to you. You're not going to go into a business with this hotel front desk that I just showed you and make money. But if you give all the information I provided to you and use your brain of how you're integrating it into your current builds, then yes, you're going to use it to make money. So that's what the workshops are for. Geez, another hype workshop coming on Thursday. Stay tuned for that. Peace, God bless, and as always, stay automated.